All right, this is my no-gi match. First match in competition. Doing my best to stay calm. Bumping the ref. Getting ready to go. I knew this opponent was probably a lot better than me, just how he behaved, and he looked pretty confident. So I knew to begin that I wanted to move around the mat, give him some eye contact, and say, I'm not impressed by you. Maybe fake some shots. I have no double leg or single leg game, so I was hoping to maybe sit down in a De La Hiva or maybe go for an Uchimata, but we'll see about that. But just trying to feel him out, not give him any easy grips. He kind of fell into this headlock. I probably should have sprawled out at this point. Would have been nice to get a guillotine early, but he ended up flipping me over. And so I'm just focused on keeping my guard up, keeping my frames in. He's got the underhook, and so I really don't have much chance of coming up onto his back. So he's doing a good job of maintaining pressure, keeping my hips on the ground. I am posting on his knee so that he can't come around to side control. I would like to be able to get my leg out and come to close guard, but he's doing a good job of keeping that pretty clamped down. And he's sucking in pretty tight. Okay, right here he taps, which is like the weirdest thing. This guy is clearly better than me, and I was like, he tapped, so I win, right? But the ref wasn't looking, and it was a mistake, so we just kept going. So that was a really weird moment. So he's trying to keep my hips flat to the mat. He wants to come around to side control. He's doing a good job of maintaining pressure. I'm trying to keep my elbows in. Maybe try to get up to close guard if I can. I'm thinking maybe there's an omoplata here, which is why I'm reaching around to his leg, but I don't have control of his arm, so not really a viable option.
Oh, babe.
A little bit of a scramble. He ends up coming around.
Don't let him take you back. Oh, gosh.
Now he's pretty much got side control. This was his first match of the day, but seeing his later matches throughout the day, he really likes to go to north-south, and so he's slowly trying to work his way there. You can see I've got my right arm sticking up. I can tell he's trying to rotate around and go to north-south, and so I'm trying to prevent that. Trying to keep my frames in. Trying to shrimp out. I'm trying to get my bottom knee in. He's a couple times he wants to go to knee on belly, and I know that in a points game I need to get his knee off my belly, so I think a couple of times he's going to try to get knee on belly, and then I'm going to try to do that. So I'm trying to shrimp out, maybe come out the back door. He's doing a pretty good job of maintaining control. He's in Kesa right now. I see an opportunity to get a hook in. Maybe I can get around to the back. He does a good job of pulling that away. I'm just trying to keep frames in, gable grip. Keep him from north-south. So he goes knee on belly. I'm immediately trying to get his knee off my belly so he doesn't score those points. I don't think he scored points right there. So I'm just trying to keep my frames in. He's in side control now. I don't want him to go to mount. I don't really want him to go to north-south, but I'm kind of in a compromised position here. He ends up getting to north-south. I don't know, I get my legs on his head, but I'm not really threatening much there.
Oh, no. Weaker hand.
Trying not to get reverse triangled. He ends up getting this Kimura grip. And that's the finish right there. He took the Kimura pretty far before I tapped, so my shoulder was a little loose for the rest of the day. But for my first match, I'm not too upset by it. I didn't get completely smoked. I lasted a few minutes. Turns out he took second at Nationals IBJJF earlier this year. So pretty tough opponent for my first competition match ever. But I'm happy with it. Okay, so this is the gi division. Second match of the day. This is an opponent that I had seen compete in the no-gi earlier in the day. I had a decent feeling that I could maybe win this match. I want to sit into De La Hiva. I grab the cross-collar grip. He does not oppose it, and I go to sit into De La Hiva, and he comes all the way to his knees. And so I was like, dang it, that did not quite go according to plan. He ends up in my half guard, and so I want to get my frames in and get my legs around. I end up getting in a close guard, and so at this point, I'm like, hey, I'm actually kind of in an offensive position. It's kind of good. So my choke game is not that great, so I'm just fishing around for, okay, maybe triangle, arm bar, just whatever finish maybe seems available at the moment. We're going to just kind of go for that. Little do I know, he is attempting to pin my left hand to the mat, and he's going to rotate around. I am not completely aware of what this maneuver is on his part, and I realize, oh crap, he's got my left arm pinned behind my back on the mat. This is not a response to close guard that I was even familiar with, and so you can see I'm trying to push away with my legs. I know that my arm versus his arm is not a good competition, and so I'm trying to push away with his legs, and he ends up getting out of close guard, comes to side control. He scores 3 points. Those end up being the only points that are scored the entire match. I noticed that his weight was really off balance, and so I was able to reverse him. And I can't quite get to close guard. He's got me in half guard now. So I could focus on trying to get my leg out. I noticed, though, that his right arm is somewhat isolated. And so I'm trying to use my head to pin down his right arm. I'm thinking about going for an Americana at this point. He does a pretty good job of keeping his elbow in, though. Pretty decent strength, though. I'm trying to pin that arm down and see if I can sneak in an Americana. I'm not able to fully get it down, and I think going for this submission, I lose my balance. He ends up getting into close guard. So now I've got to think about escaping. So my go-to escape is hands on the hips, put my knee in his butt, and start to arch my back as much as possible, keep his hips on the ground as much as I can. And I'm just trying to arch my back and push against him so that I can break his legs open. But he was not having it, and so he's just giving it everything that he can just to hold on to close guard. I can't remember if it doesn't look like he has collar grips on me right now, but I am absolutely, it doesn't look like much is happening, but I'm absolutely blowing my shoulders out and my arms and using all of my strength. So now he's got grips on, and I should have been focusing on breaking his grips at this point. He's going for just the collar choke at this point. And so trying to break his grips now. So trying to go thumb to thumb, peel his thumb off, get his grips off. I've got to think about escaping close guard. I notice his right arm is a little isolated, so I decided to just pin that down, just hopefully to maybe just simplify my life a little bit. I've used up a lot of my arm strength at this point. And you'll notice I'm going for a choke here, which is not the right decision. I should be trying to escape or break the grip he has with his left hand. What I was thinking is that, well, if I can at least threaten a choke, maybe I'll get him to at least let go of me to defend a choke, which he ends up kind of doing here. But he's really not threatened by a choke from me being on top in this position. So I ended up wasting time and energy kind of going for that choke. So now I'm trying a different escape, trying to pin his arm to his belly so that I can stand up on that side. But he's got pretty good grips on me, and I am like completely spent at this point. I have very little strength. There's like 40 seconds left in the match. So I stand up. I'm still trying to keep his arm pinned to his belly, trying to get his legs to break open, finally break the close guard, and then I just fall right back into it. So this is a very unfortunate turn of events. Go back to the knee in the butt, try to escape that way, finally get it down. I want to step over his leg. He starts to get away. Now I'm out of close guard, which is progress. I'm just trying to scramble. I'm not using great technique, trying to get to side control. I end up just kind of falling back into his guard, and this is pretty much time. Right there's time. So I'm a little disappointed with this match. I think on a different day I could have beat him, but I made some poor white belt decisions. I attempted to use more of my strength than technique. You can see I'm like completely spent. I can't even stand up straight. I could barely move my arms at this point. But a lot of good lessons learned. A lot of good advice from my coach during that match that I need to go back and actually put into practice. Relatively close match. He only scored those 3 points from getting side control early on. So good learning experience.